Good evening. Welcome to the Marlboro County Board of Education Special Call Meeting, July 9th, 2025. Mr. Flowers, please give us an invocation.
Yes, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for this day. We thank you for all the blessings in life. We ask you to guide us and direct us as we make decisions for the Marlboro County School District. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flags of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to call the meeting to order?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Marlboro County Board of Education meeting now called to order. Notification of the media has been given out. Welcome. Now we need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Agenda is approved. Okay. Board items for discussion. Budget update, Mr. Benjamin, Executive Director of Finance.
Good afternoon, Mr. Coachman, Chairman, Dr. Tiller, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Tonight I'll be presenting the third reading of our general fund budget for fiscal year 25-26. And I do want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to present this information to you all, as well as to community and all our stakeholders. Our current status. Our state budget from South Carolina has not been finalized. Our teacher minimum starting salary is still to be proposed at a starting salary of $48,500. Bus driver increase has not been finalized. They're still proposing a 2% increase to the state minimum, and health care increase at 4.6%. This is the cost to the district. Employees of the district that are enrolled in the healthcare program, they will not incur this increase. Tonight, the budget will consist of two options based off of Plan D. Plan D option 1 and Plan D option 2. As you can see in the chart before you, this is our total revenue that we're budgeted for this entire year for 25-26. Of $42,781,662.12. This is comprised of our local revenue of $11,035,000 and state revenue of $30 million. The amount to balance the budget, we are short of $1,404,000. In these two options, I will give you options that can be used in order to balance the budget. The first option, Plan D option 1, is a combination, with the exception of that first row column, of using fund balance as well as a millage increase to balance the budget. First column, I have the number of meals considered. Second, it shows the after-tax assessment value of the new millage rate for Marlboro County. Third column is the millage income. Then the total budgeted revenue to your far right, and to the very last column will be your amount needed to balance the budget, the amount that would be appropriated with the associated considered meals to balance the budget. Of course, as we know, with 26 meals, that will balance the budget at $1.4 million to get us to our $42 million. If the board considers using 20 meals, that would generate $1,080,000, which will only result in use of fund balance of $324,000. A consideration of 15 meals would bring us to a millage income of $810,000. We would only need to balance the budget with $594,000 to come out of fund balance. 10 meals considered would generate $540,000 of millage income, which will result in a deficit of $864,000 to come out of fund balance. And at 5 mills, that would only generate $270,000, which we would need $1,134,000 to come out of fund balance to balance the budget. Any questions related to Plan D option 1 with the use of fund balance and millage increase to balance the budget for fiscal year 25-26?
And so the public understands this also includes the consolidations previously voted on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And at this time, we still do not know what the fund balance is, correct?
We only have an estimated figures. Yes, sir.
Only estimated figures. And when do we have a figure, I guess, that we can say, this is it?
I have an estimate as of May because we don't have our June numbers from the county treasurer. I will provide that later on in the slide. But to get our final numbers, that will not be until the audit is completed. The audit is due December the 1st to the State Department, and the auditors will have the final numbers. They usually have the financial reports by January or sometime in February if everything is turned in on time to them.
So we may approve a budget and not know what our fund balance is until December or January.
That's
what
correct.
we will be taking out of it.
That's correct. Usually, anytime you're balancing the budget, you're always going off an estimate because you never have those until the following year anyway.
And in the past, that hasn't been a problem because we've always had money in the fund balance. But from what I'm hearing and seeing each meeting, we're running real close at our fund balance versus what we need. And
That's correct.
My concern now.
That's correct
Thank you.
because you can recall we were at a couple of years ago 14 million, then it dropped to 12, then it went to 7. So,
Okay, thank you.
yes, sir, no problem. For Plan D option number 2, this will be taking the full amount of the $1,404,000 to balance the budget. This is the proposed expenditure budget, which is comprised of our salaries and benefits, purchase services, supplies and material, equipment, and other objects. This is how we come up with the amount of generated revenue we need in order to balance the budget. It's based off your expenditures. Your revenues have to balance to your expenditures. And as you can look to the far right, this is a pie chart that displays the percentages of what each particular category, the percentage of the total budget, salaries and benefits, comprise of approximately 87%. So that's majority of your budget. How do we get here?
Sorry, can you go back? You said 87%?
Yes, ma'am.
That says 57%.
57 plus the 30. 57 is the
okay.
salaries and the benefits is the 30. So that gives you 50. That's the 87
Okay.
for salaries and benefits. How do we get here? As Ms. Pruitt asked, this is based off Plan D, the reconfiguration and consolidation of BIS, Blenheim, BPS, and Clio. And I'm going to try to say this without mixing it up. Blenheim will receive will be configured and changed from 3rd through 8th grade. Clio will have no students at that particular school, as well as BIS. And BPS will convert to K through 2, if I'm correct. The students from BIS will go to Blenheim because that's comprised of 4th and 5th grade. Also, in consideration of our numbers, we have a reduction of days of various positions, which we've actually talked about that earlier. Freezing of salaries except for our teachers, because the state provides us funds and we have to pay the teachers at the appropriated salaries based on the state. Attrition, filling vacancies within the district, reducing budgets across the district. This is just some general information. Our salary scale and bus drivers, our salary scale for our teachers and our bus drivers is based off the state. We have to abide by those rules. They provide us the information and we have to make sure that we pay our teachers and our bus drivers at that minimum. This is the proposed minimum at $48,500. This is our bus driver salary scale, $17.61. Yes, sir.
Back up one slide for me, please. Well, yeah. Do we have any concern about any teacher making less than 48.5 in Marlboro County?
No, sir.
All our teachers are already making more than 48.5, correct?
I would have to look to see, not all of them, I have to see, because based off last year, it went up. You know, it was 47,000.
No, but they're making more than 48.5. They're not making less.
Right, yes, sir. It depends on where they fall on the scale. Yes, sir.
We don't have any teachers that will be making less than 48.5.
Correct.
That doesn't really affect our budget because the teacher's salary is already there.
Correct, because
Okay,
that's
thank you.
against the law. We have to pay them at the starting minimum.
Okay, thank you.
And just touching on the bus driver, our Marlboro County, our starting salary is at 1761. The state is minimum is at 1165, so we're above that. This is the effects on fund balance with the different scenarios for the considered millage. At the very top, I have the actual fund balance amount based off our last audit. That's the solid number that we have to go by, and we'll get a solid number once the audit is completed for fiscal year 24-25. So as you can see to the far right, you'll see the different changes at what will be deducted out of fund balance to see where we will be located at. All right, so with the bottom column, this is our estimated fund balance as of 2025. May 2025, and to the far left, I have the millage consideration. And then to the far right, it will show you what our fund balance total will be. And at the very bottom, for that required 8.33%, 3.5 million. If you look at each column, regardless of which millage rate you pick, we still will be well above that 3.5. Any questions before I move on?
But if we did no millage rate increase at all, where would our fund balance be of getting the 1.4? I'm thinking of 1.4.
Good question.
1.4 from fund balance.
Yes,
What would
sir.
that leave us if we do no millage rate increase at all?
Right.
$5,966,245.
So we would still be over the 8.3%.
Now that's for the audited number for the 7 million. For the 6.9 million, that would put us at 5,506,855. So
And that cannot be confirmed until December or January.
that's correct.
I got a question with that. With a mid-year review, I would say, whenever we get the audit back, mid-year review, if we need to make changes, then we would institute changes. Is that
You
correct?
can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Are you referencing mid-year review for like millage or?
Well, no, not
Okay.
millage. What I'm referencing is if at that point that we are getting underneath our required amount, steps that we can take within the district, because I know when we talked about reduction and we talked about furlough or whatnot like that, how we can come up with the shortfall at the year, as in the middle of the year if something happened.
That's correct. I did talk with the state about that.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure because I know in the past when things have happened, I know when you have to make adjustments during the year after the budget's been passed, if you look like you're going to be short, then perhaps we have to come back as a board, we have to do something. Whether it's a furlough or whether it's a reduction, but we have to do something to make up the shortfall, cut back on supplies, cut back some kind of way to come up with a shortfall. That's what I just
If
want to make
that's the
sure.
case.
Okay.
And may I ask one more quick question? If I'm understanding it correctly, if we do reduction in force or anything, that can only come in effect in January.
No, sir.
We cannot do it now.
That's not true.
That's not true.
No, sir. Mr. Thompson saying we're going to do it. We will entertain it in February. We're not even going to entertain it right now. But for some mysterious reason, we're going to entertain it in February.
We can't entertain that right
Understand,
now.
because of the dates
It's because of the
It's too
board's
late.
policy. If you look back at the board's policy, we'd have to follow each step of the policy. And if you are going to do a reduction in force,
Too late.
then once anybody who would be impacted is actually informed, then they would have to have a 30-day
They have
window.
the grace period.
Yes.
Right. But yet, that's been figured into some of our estimates here.
No, sir.
Reduction in force, this type of stuff, and we're going to save
No,
X amount of
we have
dollars.
not reduction in force, just attrition. Those areas where we would have normally had to fill positions with the Plan D reconfiguration, we don't have to fill those positions because we have more than enough
So
teachers.
it's- I think A and B, we had it figured in, but in D, that's not figured in, is what you're saying.
In D, we're not furloughing anybody, no.
Okay, I
That's
understand
what
now.
you're asking.
I understand
No,
now.
sir.
And if I could clarify, I was only speaking in general.
We not, yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just only speaking in general. My prayer is that everything come in accordingly.
Yeah.
That's my prayer.
And according to the 5.5 million, and we're way over the 8.33 right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So the money that has to be spent out of that, what left in the fund balance, it's just going to come from this last pay period,
Yes, sir.
and that will
It's
give us.
last the month of June, and as well as any other expenditures that we'll have to accrue back that occurred during the previous fiscal year.
So, as far as in the past, have we been here where we at now? It looks like we may be in good shape to do without a millage increase. Then make the adjustment as we have to.
Can you explain how consolidating a school, shutting a school down is actually saving money if you're not getting rid of any staff other than the light bill?
Well, we've had several staff members to resign for various reasons, and that is a savings within itself because we haven't filled those positions. That would be 4K all the way through 8th grade. So those positions, we would be able to cover those students according to our numbers with the faculty we still have remaining. The only teachers that we would have to fill if we had a vacancy, as I stated in the past, would be high school.
I want to quote the letter from SCDE about that. Costs related to facility wind down or repurposing may require a much fuller detailed accounting to ensure accuracy, meaning there's cost to shut the school down. It's actually going to cost us money to close it.
No, it's not going to cost us money to close it. We've had that meeting with the state. And in addition to that, I've talked with the finance folks at the department who are going to be assisting Mr. Benjamin throughout this process. We've also talked with transportation. We've talked to the folks in Power School that deal with attendance, that deal with beds codes and those things. We're already poised and just waiting for the board's decision. We've done our paperwork and our legwork ahead of time in the event that we're going to move forward.
I have one question. You say you did the legwork. We haven't seen, I don't know, I haven't seen anything for as savings. I know we spoke on it. I haven't seen anything saying if we close Clio, we're going to save. I haven't seen any documentation. I've heard transportation. I've heard we're going to save.
Well,
and I see something.
We've shared those and we can share it again. We've talked about what our utility bills are, what it costs us to run the cafeterias and different things of that nature. Whenever you take a school offline and we're combining staff, that means we don't need as many people as we've needed in the past. So if you'd like to have those numbers again, we'll provide those.
Yes, ma'am. I've never seen the number. I don't know if anyone else seen them. Obviously, I just don't know. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
No, but if you look at where we currently are, we currently at a budget. This year's budget is $45,142,924.78. And we're proposing a budget of $42,781,662.12. So that would be a saving from where we are now, because if we try to keep things the way they are now, the budget was $45 million and we don't have $45 million.
Right.
We all agree we can't keep it how it is.
Right. But what I'm saying is, with this budget, that should be showing a saving.
Okay, can I ask you something? While we in 87% saves, right?
Say it again.
87% is salaries and benefits.
Yes, sir.
What have we subtracted from that?
What have we subtracted from salaries?
Where have we
Salaries and benefits, as far as salaries.
together?
as far as salary and benefits together would be for those positions where we've had people resign. We have not replaced them. So that means that those salaries and those benefits would be deducted from what we anticipate we'd have to pay for the coming year. And in addition to that, we went over in great detail all of the services that we have and contracts that we've done away with that we know we will not be paying. For example,
Let's separate contracts. Before we go down contracts and anticipation, because we didn't think these individuals were going to quit now. Now, I'm going to let you
Well,
go down
we
that road.
knew-
We didn't think
we
they was
knew-
going to quit. They
no.
quit because they didn't know what their future was.
Instability.
that's not true.
Okay.
Some people might have done that, but
A lot
every
did.
year, we have attrition. That's in any district. Every year you're going to have some attrition. So as we planned and looked at things, we did account for attrition. And Mr. Mosby, where are you? Mr. Mosby,
So
can you tell me last year how many teachers did we lose to attrition?
To be honest, teachers are kind of.
Last year, due to attrition, we lost about 15 teachers.
And this year, how many have we lost?
This year, we've lost somewhere in that same number, about 15, 20.
According to SCDE, since 21-22 school year, we have increased teachers by 21.92%.
And with the teacher increase, that's very easy to understand why we would have a teacher increase, because our district has chosen to stay at a 25 to 1 ratio, 25 students to 1 teacher. And so that means that we would have more teachers than the state required. We could have 30 kids to 1 teacher, but our district policy is that we have 25 to 1, and we try to keep it there. So that's one thing. The other thing is, one of the areas that we've noted and we've been working on for the last 2 years, and that would be an increase in the number of teacher assistants. We had teacher assistants in pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, and it goes on. Normally, you don't have TAs in all those grade levels. But when I came back on board, we had TAs in several grade levels that the state doesn't require. So that helped to boost those numbers because they're considered district employees. In addition to that, several of our kids have shadows, and that's another area that we've been working on, is to reduce the number of shadows. When I was here before, and I'll have to reference that because we had all of our schools open then, and we had more students than we have now. At our elementary and middle schools, we always had 1 principal, 1 assistant principal. When I came back to the district, we have a principal and 2 assistants at every school. And at the high school, we had more than that.
Can I ask you something? While you was there,
Can I
have you-
please finish?
Point of order, Mr.
So over
But we just
time,
let
what I
them
was
go.
trying to finish, so over time, what has happened is the district has increased the number of staff that they've had at each school, and that has caused those numbers to go up. So, for example, the state law says that for every 500 students, you should have 1 administrator. At least, that's the minimum. So that would be your principal. But we have, I'll give you an example, at Clio. I'll use Clio and I use BIS because those are our smallest 2 schools. We had principal and we had assistant principal, and then we had reading coaches. Those are 2 extra people that you normally wouldn't have. So all those things drive that number up. And it's okay if the board decides that that's what you want and that's the way you want to staff at that level, but the state doesn't require all of that. For example, at the high school for this coming year, we have 2 assistant principals and 1 principal. Last year, we had 3 assistant principals and 1 principal. So we're doing things
to try to work on those numbers, and we've been working on that in the special needs areas with the shadows for the last year and a half. And Mr. McCray, I don't have a problem with entertaining any question you have. I just wanted to finish explaining what I was talking about.
But to be honest, you never covered what I was trying to ask Mr. Bench.
And what was that
But
again?
in the question in regard, it was asking the benefits and the salaries was 87%. And I was going to ask him, because what we're really getting to, I understand you want to cover for everyone, but you have to let individuals play their kind of role.
No,
So you're
no, no, no.
deflecting
I
from a
don't
lot
have
of-
to.
You deflect
I
from a
don't.
lot.
I
If
don't
you're
have
going to let
to.
me speak, you're going to let me speak.
I'll let you speak, but I just
But
want
you
you to. I
deflect
don't want
from a
you to
lot.
put words in my mouth. My staff, they're only an extension of me. So I'm not putting any words in their mouth.
You deflect-
That's where we are.
You deflect a lot.
That's your opinion.
So the thing I wanted to
That's
ask
your
you,
opinion.
You've been here long enough with individuals where you saying it's too many
I
staff.
have, and I have reduced.
Mr. Toms love to say, don't touch day-to-day operations. How long does it take? Because now we here in year 3 saying we got too many, but you knew day 1 we had too many.
Well,
So-
you know
so
what?
let's
You
not
don't
use
come.
that role and
Did you
use that
want
out-
me to come in and take people's jobs day 1? So
Well, let's
that
not
would have
use
been
that
an
as a
argument.
crutch in year 3.
Let's not use that as a problem, throwing mud at me either.
You
Thank you,
covering
sir.
for it. Stay away
I'm
from
not-
it. You be
No, I'm
quiet.
not. I'm not
No
covering
problem.
anything. You asked me a question. I'm telling you the facts.
No, you're not fat.
Oh, yeah, I am telling you the facts. Because first of all, when I came in July, the budget was passed. People were in place already.
That was 2 years ago, Dr.
Yep.
Taylor.
Was I supposed to come in and fire people?
We're talking
that
about
you all had
30
approved as
we're
a
talking
board?
about 30 months later. You want to use
Okay.
that as a crutch.
I'm not going to follow that.
Honorable, let's move forward.
I want to make a comment to what you're saying. Between teachers and other district staff, in the last 4 years, we have increased 58.53% in staff. Dillon 4 has 300 more students than we do, and they've only increased by 0.17%.
Exactly. And that's the reason that the state has said that they will help us with that as we move forward, because that's been a trend for the district. It's not my trend. That's been a district
Mr.
trend.
Murphy just got through saying that we lost 15 teachers to attrition.
We're
but in the
trying to
last
tell you
two-
what we did.
In the last 2 years, we've increased 2 teachers.
You might have increased 2 teachers, but what I'm saying is they're pulling numbers based on teachers that actually ended up with us. But the point I'm making is we've had people in positions that we have not filled. We had them last year and we had them the year before. If you think about it, it was a lot of positions that were not filled. Those positions were being taught via virtual. We didn't have teachers in those jobs.
I want to be clear, though. I don't think that teachers is as much of a big deal to me because I think that we need teachers. My biggest concern is that we have 406 other district staff members and Dillon has 281.
And I agree with you. And that includes secretaries, that includes attendance clerks, that includes receptionists, that includes your SRO people, that includes your teacher assistants, your bus drivers, that includes our cafeteria workers. Yes, we do.
We have a
But
lot
all of
workers
those are part of that. That's true.
and less students.
That's true. And that's the reason we're trying to consolidate.
Let's be honest. Those are the pennies of the budget. We're not nowhere near saying we want to get rid of librarians and secretaries.
All right, let's give somebody else a chance.
SROs are covered by the governor. We don't have anything to do with that.
Anybody else got any
you
questions?
you can think that. We've
in the
paid
budget.
money out of our budget for SROs too.
Okay.
I have.
You got a question, Mr. Driggs?
I have. Based on, excuse me, based on all I'm hearing and all I've read, I'll have to agree with what they're saying, that we appear to have an overabundance of employees on the district staff, and we even have more teachers, because when I figure it up, that's 12 kids per teacher when I do my math. But anyway, what is the plan to do something about this?
The
I guess
plan-
that's what I'm getting from you, because
Yes, sir.
we've got to cut back.
That's
because
true.
It don't matter if I pass 26 meals here tonight.
I agree.
Next year is going to be the same problem.
I agree.
So what
But
are we gonna do?
what we're going to do is the department has asked, it has volunteered to give technical assistance with doing that. And to do it in a way that is ethical and correct. We don't want, I just can't go and say, well, you know what? We don't need these people anymore. I'm going to let all these people go. We can't do that. That's not the way to go about it. And so they have, when I say they, I mean the state superintendent has offered technical assistance in that area. And I've accepted.
So what they will do is they're going to come in and they're going to say, for lack of better people, me and Mr. Toms are doing the same job. So we're going to combine those jobs and put one person in it.
No,
It will
sir.
be several different strategies that they will employ to do that.
Okay.
So it's not going to be, in other words, it's easy to say, well, Dr. Tiller, if you knew you were overstaffed, why didn't you cut people's jobs? If I came in cutting and taking people's jobs, then it would have been like, why are you coming in here and upsetting the apple cart? We were doing fine. So see, we can't have it both ways. We know that this is an issue now, and we have met extensively with the state superintendent and her team at her directive. And we know exactly what we need to do.
Dr. Taylor, the first school year you were here was 23-24. 22-23 had 304 district staff members, and 23-24 had 390.
Well, I'm going to put it like this, Ms. Pruitt. I don't know what you're trying to give me credit for, but I'm not going to take the credit.
Numbers.
It's a whole lot that have gone on here. And there are things that have gone on that didn't have anything to do with Dr. Tiller.
Okay.
I came to help clean up the situation.
All right. Point of order. Point of order.
I'd like to say something. I think with everyone and what everyone has shared from an email that was shared that I sent on June 28th, and I think this would kind of help everyone so that we can also be a part of the process of reducing the budget. I think since we are board members, one of the things we're supposed to do is provide oversight. So these are just a few things that I would like for us to receive. A complete list of current contractual services, not just those that have been eliminated, like the Kelly services and AMI, but all of our contractual services, so that we can also provide oversight, renegotiate some of those opportunities or some that may have to be cut, provide with statistics. I've asked for statistics of the Blenheim School, of all grade levels, actually of all of our schools, so that we would know if we're moving 3rd to 5th graders to Blenheim, if that's going to be even more of an issue. Also provide detailed list of all positions, duties, and salaries paid by federal, grant, and state funds, including which positions are mandated. Present projected savings from reducing district staff salaries under the summer schedule, including the week of July 4th closure. Provide the updated bus routes and estimated costs for additional aides, drivers, and fuel, because we're talking about cutting, but we also know that we're also potentially going to increase bus routes. And then also, if we're moving kids, we don't know what that estimation is going to be. Another one is deliver completed salary evaluation proposed savings, which is kind of what Mr. Toms is saying. With the RIF, proposed savings from streamlining and also reductions for board review, and also a clear timeline for renovations for Clio Elementary Middle School and into an early Head Start and Child Care Center, and also with our construction milestones, hiring timelines, and all those related costs.
And I think that's a good idea. And I would suggest that the board hire a firm to do just that, because we're trying to run the district, and there's no way that we can do all that and run the district. And I'm being very honest.
And at the same time, that is not the board's duty. Our board duty is to balance the budget. The day-to-day operations and doing the things that you're saying, it belongs to our district staff and the superintendent. That's why we pay her. So that's basically micromanaging to a point. I understand we want to know information. If we can ask for information time to time to get, but when we get our monthly budget, we determine what needs to be asked during the budget process. If you ask for it from month to month, as we get budget from month to month, then you will know this at the end of the year. So that's what we need to do a better job. And I agree with you that we need to have some oversight, and that is our job to have oversight on the budget. But we cannot micromanage and ask the superintendent to do something totally that goes away from the day-to-day operations.
You're wanting us to make a decision that is attached to options. Yes, we need to balance a budget. but it's attached to an option that we don't agree with, and obviously we voted it down. And what Ms. Galloway said, I would love to see that thought entertained, but it keeps getting dismissed time and time again.
Okay. Yeah. Well, on that note, look, we got two options here, and I think we have a good viable option that will help us get where we need to be without doing a millage increase. And we know what we need to do. And the State Department of Education is here to work with us to do the cuts and do the things to maintain to take care of it. We're at a pivotal moment. Tough decisions that have to be made. That's why we was elected as board members. So with that being said, I think we need to put closure on the budget this week, and so that we can move forward and get our children in school.
Chair, I got a question for you. You know how much it's going to, do you yourself know how much it's going to save when Clio's close?
I know that was saved enough for us to pass a budget tonight.
Enough, just enough.
Yeah.
And
Do
but
you know?
It,
No, that's why we
It's-
don't want to vote on
it's,
it.
No
it's,
one here knows.
Okay.
what we did, we looked at our utility costs and costs to operate each of the schools that we were considering closing. And we did bring that information to the board before, and we can bring it back to the board, but we did share that.
We said utility costs, and I'm not being sarcastic. So we saying a water bill and a light.
That's not, we're talking about
Well,
all,
please expand it.
we're
Please.
talking about all costs that it takes to run the facility.
And it's too much to list where all the costs are.
Okay.
We've been over that.
Okay.
Look,
I got one more thing. I'm listening and I'm trying to understand everything that I didn't figure out before I came here because other folks did. But I'll have to ask this question, and I don't expect an answer, Dr. Tiller. You can give me an answer Monday if you like. But as Ms. Pruitt said, during your time, the last 2 years, we have increased teachers by 53. We have increased district staff by 96 positions. And that's a lot of increase in those 2 years.
It is.
I'm not saying whether we need it or don't need it. That's your decision, what you can come up with. But I think that needs to be explained to the public and to the
I
board
do
why
too.
we did that.
I think that what we did was based on recommendations from state and recommendations within our plans, things that we needed to do to help get our children out of the not meets category and improve test scores. And that we have done. We were recognized at the state conference on last month for making significant gains in moving our kids out of that not meets category. And I'm sure as the year goes on, you'll hear more about it. That didn't come from me. That came from our state superintendent. So we are doing things. I think that one thing that has occurred is when principals come and they say they need extra help for this, this, and this. It's just like when we went through the budget process before. I always bring those needs to the board. I say, these are the things that the principals said that they need to operate their schools. This is the staff they said they need. This is the amount of money or whatever we need to make corrections in their schools. We went through that same thing this year as well. So as far as the top heaviness, as much as you make progress, you don't need all of that. The more progress you make, the more you can remove some of those services, because that's what the state is going to do anyway. That's what happens. You have more when there's a greater need. And we've had greater needs. We've talked about over and over about our kids and their ability to read or lack of ability or not making those reading gains that they need to make. That's the reason we've employed the reading coaches and the interventionists. Those people have come in and helped our teachers to help our students.
What most of our citizens look at, though, will come out in another couple of months, that report card. And
Yep.
from what I'm hearing from you, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, we've increased personnel to make our grades come up for our children. So that should be reflected next month or two when it comes
Well,
out.
I
We're
would-
looking at our schools
I would-
gonna look better.
I would think so. For
Okay.
example, the year before, we didn't have perfect scores on EOC, but this past year we had several perfect scores on EOC and U.S. Constitution, biology, English, language arts. And our kids in grades 3 through 8th, we've seen a decrease in the number of students that were in that category, meaning they're not meeting standard, they're nowhere near it. So that's the reason we were recognized at the state conference by the state superintendent, because we've made significant gains. And I applaud our principals and our teachers for that, because they've worked very hard, and our students.
This board member will go out on the limb and say, I don't like the millage increase, but to get better results in our curriculum for our kids, I realize that we have to make, sacrifices and move forward. So all I'm asking is show me that we're doing that. Show the citizens of Marlboro County that we are improving the school for the kids.
Yes,
I think
sir.
everything will become a lot easier for this board
Yes,
and
sir.
for the citizens and your staff if we can show the people in Marlboro County we're making improvements.
Okay.
And we have, and we will continue.
I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. You said that you cut contracts. Have you cut the grass cutting contract yet?
We have.
No, you haven't.
See, that's what I don't care for.
I had a-
No. I don't care for you continuously calling me a liar. When you ask me
Okay.
if we've cut those contracts in May, every contract, if it's anybody cutting grass that shouldn't be, then it's on Mr. McNeil.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
my
Yes, ma'am.
directives, excuse me,
Sorry.
my directives have been that, one, all those contracts, everybody should have received their letter understanding why we could not continue, and also to let them know that we appreciated the services that they have provided. That's Kelly Services, that's all those external lawn services. And Mr. McNeil, did you have anybody cutting after we cut it off?
Please be.
That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, you want to explain that to the board, because I'm not aware of it.
That's, the cutoff date. This is the last month.
It was
This is the
June.
last, yes, ma'am, this will be the last month.
So you're saying that
Now, I'm saying this will be the last month.
they've been put on notice.
I'm saying this will be the last month for the grass cutting service cut off. I talked to the young lady you're speaking of. I spoke with her.
I didn't say who I was speaking of.
She told me that she spoke with you already.
I've spoken to a lot of
I've
people.
already talked with her, and I've already got all that straight.
Okay. All right, Mr. Flowers, you got something to say, Mr. Flowers?
Well, do you want us to make a suggestion now or wait till after the 10 people speak as far as the proposal? I'd like to suggest one of them, because if we don't pass the budget, we might not have a choice in a couple of months. All of us, the
Exactly right.
superintendent might decide we're not needed, and she can replace all us.
That's right.
Better.
Governor has to do that.
Make a suggestion.
No, the
No,
state
government.
superintendent can
But the
do it.
thing you got to realize is, if we're kind of making decisions we are, I mean, how bad can it get? Look where we're at.
So you want to wait until he gets stuff?
Yeah, we approved,
go ahead.
we approved the agenda as it stands, so I
Right.
think we need to go through the public comments
Yep.
before we move on to anything
Absolutely.
else.
ahead.
Okay, that's my opinion.
Well, before you do that, and it was with these, every month when we get our employee recommendations, we approve that, right? And as a board, we probably, if we're concerned about employment going up too high, we probably just request information on the non-certified. That way we'll keep up with the number, because all the teachers and all the certified people, we approve that. If we got too many teachers, and we have too many administrators, we all approve that.
That's right.
And I just want to make sure the public know that we approve that, because we approve the certified staff.
Yeah,
Every
that-
month when we go to executive session, we come back in here and we say we want to accept the recommendation, we approve that. Now, when it come down to non-certified staff, that may be, some of that may be did by directors and building level people to hire their secretary, hire their people in their building. That much is did that. But as a board, to keep up with it, we'll just ask Dr. Tiller to have a report so we'll know what's going on with that. And that way we can monitor the staffing level. And that way we'll be more informed on that.
We
If that agreed to.
That's true, and then we can bring that
Okay, thank
each
you.
time.
All right. All right. At this time, we'll move on into our public comment section. Mr. Driggers, you have a list?
Yes, sir, I got
Mr.
some.
Triggers, before you begin that, I want to read a portion of policy BEDH. The chair of the board will introduce speakers.
He can delegate.
I can delegate it to anybody who want to. That's what the choice the chair has.
Okay.
So I have delegated.
Can you
Mr.
give the
Driggers.
reason why you're delegating that?
It's to get the board an opportunity to us work together. It's called
Okay.
collaboration. Would you like to have a chance next time?
That'd be fine with me.
Okay.
But I do also want to bring to the public's attention that the board will not permit any expression of personal complaints about individual staff members or any other person connected with the district during public session. Okay.
Okay. Mr.
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
And first, let me say this, Mr. Coachman asked me to do this, but if anybody wants to do it, I'll pass the papers. Okay? All right, first, would Miss Patty Gray come to the podium? Before you start, let me remind you again, I forgot it last time.
That's true.
There's 3 minutes that you have. Please do the 3 minutes because your neighbor wants to speak also. And, do it and be, I hope, will be respectful and move forward with your speech. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Patty Gray. I live right here in Bennettsville. I don't understand why we having this third reading. You haven't explained a thing. The third reading was the last meeting you had, and it was voted down. So here comes another third reading instead of a first reading of a new proposal. You got no new proposal. The other thing is, if you're going to close these schools and you're not going to get rid of any employees, you're going to have people walking on top of each other in the cafeteria, in the classrooms. You don't have enough classrooms to split up those teachers like that. I don't think consolidating is good. If you do the tax millage, if you raise it a little bit, these people aren't going to complain because they understand that. But 26%, that's a whole lot. Or 26 millage, whichever you want to call it, is still a lot. I just don't understand. Us as the public, or me as the public, my opinion, I'm not getting any questions answered that people have stood up here and asked you. We're not getting any kind of reports on anything. This gentleman right here says he's not getting reports. Nikki has brought up many good things, and then she gets attacked by several of y'all that are, I think, is very rude when you ought to give everybody a chance to talk, including yourselves. I guess that's about it. I didn't even make my 3 minutes. I reckon y'all thankful for that.
Ms. Wavette Douglas, please come to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you for clearing up the fact that the board voted for the hiring. The board also voted for the budget. And to get up here is disingenuous to act like we don't know what's going on. So I say that. Today is also a sad day in Marlboro County to be here. The segregation is real. We have option D, that would disenfranchise our black children. And we went to that option to satisfy the white children at McCall and at Wallace. So why can't the kids in Clio, there's about 60 of them, go to McCall, which is closer, and the kids at BIS go to Wallace? Because Blenheim is going to be like cockroaches in a Coke bottle with our black children not being able to learn. And so that I have a problem with. Also, I have a problem with one of the teachers from McCall that said in front of us, in front of students and staff, that they didn't want our children at their school. And this staff member happens to be walking around comfortable saying that when ICE is removing and deporting all of her people at a high alarming rate, and we black people are standing in the gap for the migrants and helping them. But her to make a statement like that, it bothers me. Our black children matter. Our black children are just as important as any other children in here. You all fussing about D, but when you had C, you didn't want that. You didn't want Jesus, you wanted Barabbas, and now you're not satisfied with that. This is ridiculous. And I see so many people out here that I've never seen before. You're not out here because you love children. You're out here because you have a bunch of property that you don't want to pay millage on. That's what it is. It's not about our children, because if it was about our children, it'll be about all children. And you love to get behind your holy roly and talk about Jesus, Jesus. The Bible says, what you've done to the least of them, you have done them unto me. So what you're doing to our children with your deceitful heart, see, God knows he deals with the heart. He knows your intentions, and your intentions in here are not good at all. You're elected as a board to be fair, to have integrity, and you're not. You're failing. And it's a sad state to see you blame someone else for what you all can do.
At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Burt Odom to the podium.
Thank you. I want to personally thank the 5 board members that voted 2 weeks ago for the children, parents, teachers, and all the citizens of Marlboro County. You literally saved Marlboro County. I've had hundreds of calls in Texas thanking the board members for their courageous vote. I am taken back by this meeting tonight, touted as the 3rd reading of the 25-26 budget. Unless I missed something, the 3rd reading was of the 25-26 budget failed June the 27th, 2 weeks ago. This should have triggered a new 25-26 budget proposal with a first reading after a 15-day notice to the public. I do know that Superintendent Ellen Weaver and her staff has made very good recommendations to the Marlboro County school system for needed changes for the better. I hope that y'all have entered in some of those plans into your proposal. I know tonight we are 1.5 weeks away from teachers reporting and 2.5 weeks away from students reporting. 3 weeks ago, Superintendent Weaver said Marlboro County should not consolidate any schools 3 weeks before the start of the school year. I think this should hold true a week and a half before we start the school report. The other thing, doesn't it require, and you don't have to answer this now, doesn't it require a 2/3 vote, which would be 6 members of the board, to do any millage increase? First question. Second question, isn't it against state law after June the 30th to raise millage in the state of South Carolina under current laws? Last thing, I'd like to see a show of hands of the board members, since y'all have a policy in place that says y'all do not spend more than $50,000 at any one part.
You out of order. Hey, y'all in the order and back. You don't attack board members as you take. You can say what you want to say as public comments, not for a raise of hands. We don't raise our hands for you.
Yes, sir. You said there's two options for us to decide on this. No, there's a third option. The third option is 110 miles south of here in Columbia, South Carolina, with the State Board of Education coming here and straightening out this mess that y'all certainly have not done. Decade after decade, we have asked for better education for our kids. We poured out our pocketbooks to you like crazy, one of the highest districts in the state, and yet we're still ranked in the lowest part of the state. So no, I think the answer for all our problems is with Ellen Weaver and the State Board of Education, because this ain't cutting it. There's an old saying, you ride a horse so long and then you just got to get off of it. Well, I think it's time to get off this situation that we've been in for decade after decade. And then the only other thing, there's a $134,000 sign hanging out there on the football field. I'd like to know how we came about to spend $134,000 on a sign when y'all's limit is $50,000 per department. Thank you.
Would Tammy Figueroa please come to the podium?
Hello, my name's Tammy Figueredo. I'm from Blenheim. First, I'd like to know why there has been no expressed or explained effort by the superintendent to find the missing $6.8 million. A superintendent's job as the chief executive of the school district is to manage the district's budget, oversee operations, and see the students' needs are met. Currently, there's no transparency, but plenty of executive sessions. I'd like to make it clear that there have been no federal budget cuts. However, the ESSER funds have expired. And we have received $80 million from 2020 to 2024. And we knew they were going to expire. That money should have been saved, some type of budget. A school board primarily receives funds from local, state, and federal government. In addition, they receive funds from student fees, donation, advertising, grants, and fundraisers. What, if anything, has been done to obtain funds from these sources? And what are you really here for? As for your audits coming back clean, you keep saying this like it's supposed to clear up the question of the $6.8 million deficit. I'm here as an expert on the matter of audits. They are subjective because the auditor is tasked with a specific job, and their focus is an opinion on the accuracy of that specific job. We need a forensic audit, AP, AR, payroll, procurement, revenue, management, policy and procedure enforcement, documents, retention, budget management approvals, board activity, and oversight. We, the citizens of Marlboro County, do not accept your proposed mill rate increase because you have not proved to us you can properly handle the money you have already obtained. Your answer for your inability to do your job is to consolidate schools with the facade that students will improve educationally. Yet you have no real data to prove it. No thorough analysis has been completed. My research from multiple studies show that consolidation proves no financial savings. Instead, it proves adverse effects on children and the communities. Loss of local identity, community vitality, increase in transportation and distance costs, negative impact on students' well-being, and community engagement, particularly in younger students. There's no financial windfall here. With this option, you can cut costs by consolidating administrative functions and eliminate salaries. This is not the time for small or simple solutions. Our community will not recover from another consolidation. It will push both education costs and student performance in unwanted directions.
Would Miss Eva McCray please come to the podium?
Good afternoon, superintendent and the board members. I'm standing here for the kids. I'm standing here because I'm embarrassed. We got kids up in here, and they are listening and seeing how we act. Are we supposed to be teaching them that we don't yell out? If you're in a classroom, you can't yell out. How are we teaching them? We're doing all this. You can disagree and agree, but do it in love. Give respect to everybody. Y'all come on. I'm not on the board, and I know it's not an easy job, and I'm praying for y'all to make the best decision and realize what you're doing is for our kids. And our kids only. But show them some respect. We're trying to train them. They're coming to meet. People yelling out everywhere. That's not good, y'all. And that's to me, sitting out here and to the board members. Let's carry ourselves in a better way than what we are doing. And y'all work hard and come on agreement. And remember that you can disagree and agree, but do it in love. Do it in love. And let our children see who we are. Thank you. Love y'all.
Would Charles Graham please come to the podium?
Good evening. I had a couple of things that I wanted to say, but a lot of it has changed since I sat here and listened to this board meeting. Being on the board before, it's kind of sad to sit here and listen at some of the issues that's thrown back and forth, knowing that a lot of it is given to you 4 or 5 days in advance with notes that you can look over. The budget, the financial report monthly. And so most of the board approved the budget last year. Everybody was on the board except Ms. Galloway. That budget got approved unanimously. And so every month after that, a financial report was given. And so now we get here at almost May, and a fuss is being made saying, whoa, what happened to the money? So that's just telling me, it may not be telling the public because they don't understand that people are not looking at these financial reports. They just going on them and saying, oh yeah, we can go ahead and do that. And then now when it gets down to May and now it's the issue, now everybody is like, Dr. Tiller, what did you do? It ain't what Dr. Tiller did. It's like what some of the board members didn't do. They didn't review the package. It's just like now when we talking about hires and how many we got too many teachers. Mr. Toms had to tell you, we can go over this in executive session. We approve these hires. We got too many, it's on us. It ain't all on her. It's on the board. And now we sit here and we have to be careful with words. You got your staff sitting right here in these first 2 seats. And I don't know whether y'all recognize or not. Y'all done disrespected these people. Like, y'all test scores are not coming up. What are you doing? You're not doing this. These people working hard. And like Ms. McCray say, we got kids here and we got the teachers here and we disrespecting them. Now they got 2 weeks to go and get these schools ready that y'all sitting up here and done took months to figure out a situation. Now they're going to have to rush and get it. Y'all going to be cool though. Y'all going to be fine with it. The teachers over there in Blenheim, they're going to cram them in down there at Blenheim. They got to get it ready in 2 weeks. Now the kids got to come. Teachers don't know where they're going to go, how they're going to figure it out. They got to figure it out. It ain't their fault. It ain't Dr. Tiller's fault. Why did we pay you $190-something for solutions? She gave them to you. We don't like those solutions. We want our solutions. So what is she there for? We want the state to come take it over. No, you don't. Because the solutions that she recommended, that's going to be the first thing the state do. The consolidation is going to happen. That's going to be the first thing the state do because they're going to say, Dr. Tiller, what did you recommend? And y'all going to be gone, she might be gone, but they're going to do what she said do, and they ain't going to give no thoughts about it. Ask Williamsburg County. Ask Timmonsville. They ain't got no schools now. They consolidated. The state came in. They asked for it and they got it. So the recommendations that she's making, y'all don't like them. But I promise you, when the state come in, those same recommendations, they're going to happen. And man, these teachers, man, Blenheim, Clio, Wallace, wherever y'all at, man. Thank y'all for what you do and the work that you're going to have to do in these next 2 weeks, man. Y'all remember, it's for them babies. Don't worry about what's going on right here. Y'all remember, you're doing this for these babies and keep working, please.
We could have.
Terry Eads, would you come to the podium, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thanks for the opportunity to speak again.
I was a little bit confused when we were getting started because I was pretty sure last time I was here that you put a slide up that said third and final reading, and I got here tonight and it said third and final reading. I thought I forgot my math, but y'all tweaked the proposals enough that you can get away with that, I guess. I want to thank the board members from the last meeting that voted against the proposed ordinance. I want to thank you for that, for being brave and doing that, for you listening to your voters. Bothers me a little bit that you're considering even thinking about closing any schools at this point. I haven't heard any discussion at all about what does it do to the families that have little children? What does it do to the children? What time is that 6-year-old first grader going to have to go out in the middle of the winter and wait on the bus? How long is that child going to be sitting on that bus in the morning and again in the afternoon? You're going to have children falling asleep in class and they can't afford to do that. You're already producing kids that can't read, can't write, can't do math. I know that because I'm an employer in this county, and it is difficult for me to hire young people who have basic skills. Those of you know what I do know that I have a lot of one-on-one interaction with citizens of this county every day, all year long. And what I've been hearing is a lot of nervous and upset parents, a lot of nervous and upset teachers, because they don't feel like they can trust the board to do the right thing for them. That was made very clear at the last meeting that you had. Nobody up here had anything positive to say at all. And I'm hearing the same things again tonight. I was really appalled at part of the meeting tonight that I sat out there and listened to an employee of the school district talk over and show total disrespect to the school board who employs that person. Unbelievable. One of my employees talked to me like that, they'd be out on their butt in a heartbeat. It's just not, they know your employees need to show you some respect. One more thing, and you're not gonna like me. Bye.
Would Rebecca Foster please come to the podium?
I would like to thank y'all. I didn't come prepared to speak tonight, but looks like it kind of fell in on my lap. But I want to thank y'all for voting no, helping out Marlboro County, helping these kids. Because at the end of the day, there should never be anything on the board to shut down a schoolhouse. Dr. Tiller, I'm going to ask you to please give us your attention. We give you ours. Dr. Tiller, if you would give us your attention.
You have my full attention. I'm just writing down what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am. But while we're sitting here, we're talking about cuts. Whenever you start talking about cuts, the teachers, the office staff, the counselors, the cafeteria staff, custodians, the people that stay late, these are the ones that are the heart of the school and the school district that teach these kids. They're the heart. They're the ones that's there every day. They don't get off Friday and get paid for it, I don't think. The cuts should start at the top, at the very top, and cut the people that's made the positions. If you've made a position for your friend or your friend's friend or your partner or your whatever, you need to cut that. That needs to be cut. It should be qualified teachers, qualified staff. This unnecessary spending that nobody wants to be transparent about. trips, catering, what the young man had up here a while ago. Why is there not a copy for everyone that walks in this door with his little pie charts and stuff? Why don't we have a copy of that so we can go along with it, so we can go home and look at it? Why is that not given to us? We, the citizens, we have a right to know where the money's going, what's going on with the money. It is the board members' jobs to do what is right by the kids at the end of the day. The bottom line, no school should be shut down. No kid should have to worry about where they're going to start school in 2 weeks. No parent that gets one check a month should have to worry and suffer how they're going to have kids. Well, if they're going here, they're going to have uniforms. There's no budget money to give these parents that are struggling because they're having to get one kid from here to there. It's just ridiculous, all the unnecessary spending that has been found and has been located. And we need more transparency. We need an audit. We need an investigation. I agree with the young lady a while ago. A forensic audit would be really nice. And if there's no misuse of funds going on, no one should object to that. No one should object to that at all. And I thank y'all for letting me speak tonight, and I maintain tonight. I'm proud of myself.
That concludes the public speaking.
Okay. That being said, thank all of your public comment. Just want to let everybody know that we are in a pivotal point, and we all on this board, whether we have differences or not, I think we want the best for children. And this is a tough decision we got to make either way, but it has to be made. And we looked at all that. We looked at the tax millage. We looked at the funding cuts. We looked at everything we have. We listened to the State Department. We have to listen to the State Department because we don't do our job. We know what's going to happen. And I don't want the state to come in here and take over our school district. I don't want to not have a say-so of my grandkids or nieces and nephews, my cousins, my neighbors' families, my community family, all the children that we've worked with. It's our job to do this, to pass a budget. And everybody's not going to agree. And this board, yeah, we have been dysfunctional lately. And I know we have some new board members and have not seen hard times like this. But I've seen it over and over again, and each and every time, Marlboro County bounced out of it. So this is a phase that we got to go through, and hopefully we can build from this when this decision is made tonight. And I hope that everybody will be satisfied that you're doing your very best, or we're doing our very best. If not, it's a tough decision that has to be made to save our district. And that is my only goal. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say, since we've looked at all the proposals for months, I would like to suggest and make a motion for proposal Plan D, Option 2, which is, according to Mr. Benjamin, we had the finances to do it. Take the fund balance, take the 1.4 million out of that. We won't raise taxes. To kind of leave everything pretty much like it is. And I think that's the best plan we have at this time. And I think we need to pass the budget tonight because I think the state has been very patient with us.
Yeah.
And we're past the deadline as it is. And I would just like that to make that as a motion, Plan D, Option 2.
Okay. Now have a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion for Plan D, Option 2, that is with no millage increase at all to the taxpayers. Open up for discussion.
I have written a pretty lengthy statement, so sit back and listen up. To my knowledge, this special call meeting was called without consideration from all board members in regard to when they would be available. This agenda was created and sent to us without any information on what this third reading would entail, and 3 board members requested all information that would be needed to make that decision. We didn't get any answers to those requests until late yesterday evening after 5 p.m., which is less than 24 hours before this meeting was to be held. Both Plan D, Option 1, and Option 2 does not take into consideration any of the notations made in the letter we received from the Office of Ellen Weaver from her CFO, other than they are encouraging us to approve a balanced budget. The issue is the options we have been given in order to achieve said balanced budget. The issues with Plan D, Option 1 and 2 are many. For one, this should by all rights be a first reading according to Robert's Rules of Order. Option D was attached to the same dollar amount for the proposed budget what was voted down at our last meeting, so we would need to start this process all over again because the budget that was being proposed is the same dollar amount, albeit a different means of achieving that budget. The rollback of the mills hasn't been addressed, and also if this is to be a separate tax mill increase, it would not be added to the 185.3. It would be its own separate mill rate on the bill, and that's according to Option 1. I realize you made a motion for Option 2. This has not been presented on this paper that has been put before us at the last meeting. It is tacked on top of our existing mill rate. For both plans, ultimately, I feel the board went unheard. We sent in options that were responded with. Quit sending options is not your responsibility. Others sent in beautifully written and well thought out options that went unentertained. Ultimately, the issue is with the administration and not hearing out its board. I do not want to speak for the board, but I believe we would like to see accountability. In looking at the audit, overspending was evident. 0 personnel have been held responsible for overspending. According to the letter from SCDE, we are overstaffed. We have increased staff while pupil population has decreased. In comparison, Dillon District 4's pupil population decreased and they decreased staff accordingly. They still have 341 more students than we do and have 125 less other district staff members than we do. And yes, I realize we approve certified staff, and that's it. It is astounding that eliminating staff members was not the very first thought that would have come to mind when trying to balance this budget. I have previously shared why I believe BIS should not close. It is a STEM certified school and the taxpayers are still paying the bond for its renovations. Bennettsville is our county seat. We would be shipping our largest population to the smaller sub-cities of Marlboro County. Blenheim would be overpopulated. This means larger class sizes. This is a great concern because we want our children to excel. That means as much one-on-one time as possible with the teachers. I think closing Clio would leave an eyesore sitting in the middle of its town. When asked how much it would cost to make it an early learning center, I was met with the answer, I'm not sure. Other than the light bill, we haven't really been told how the consolidation would save money since it doesn't displace any workers. In addition, the letter we received from SCDE states there was a wind-down cost to closing a school. Logistically, it's not feasible to do a consolidation at this time because every single student would have to be manually deleted out of the online systems for the school that would be closing and then manually entered into the school that would be now attending. This would take an enormous amount of time we don't have since school is set to begin in about 2.5 weeks. School would have to begin without rosters, which can be dangerous. To the taxpayers, teachers, parents, and most importantly, our students, I apologize for failing to make this budget work for you. This has left you in limbo for far too long due to technicalities of how agendas were prepared, and most importantly, because the board has, in my opinion, been ignored. Ultimately, I do not think that our board wants the state to have to come in. I think we want to be heard by our administration, and we want our thoughts and opinions validated and taken into consideration, and they have at large not been.
Okay. Just want to hit on one note that you said. You said your voice has been went unheard. We had 4 options, A, B, C, and D. We asked the superintendent to bring those options to us. She brought them to us. We didn't like any of them. Still don't like any of them, but we had to choose one because we have to move on with the children. Second of all, when the board fails to balance a budget and do our job and takes it out of the board's hand and it goes into the state hand and the state is working with the superintendent, I stepped back. And all of the board members had to step back because they weren't talking to us. They were directly with the superintendent. We took our hands off the plow by not voting for a budget. Every school district in the state of South Carolina has voted for a budget. They didn't like it. They had the same issue. They had the same problem. They had to consolidate. The funding has been cut nationwide. You haven't heard $86 billion coming out of public school. So if you don't consolidate now, you will very soon. So my thing is, once we heard from the superintendent of education, that lets us step back in and we have another chance to pass a budget. And that's why we're here tonight. Just want to clarify me stepping back and not stepping up. When you take the plow away, there's nothing you can do.
I have a question. Mr. Benjamin. Oh, there you are. Okay. You made the comment that we would not get the results from the audit until December or January. If this is approved, what's on the floor, option 2, and we come up short on our fund balance, what do we do in January?
Well, we have to rely on the state. They'll lead us into what we need to do. If it's a recovery plan, we just have to depend upon what the State Department would direct us to do.
And I'd like to note again that the state is not offering to come in second semester. They're working with us already and will continue throughout the year.
Okay, like I said, just my concern, because from what I'm understanding, we cannot say a solid dollar figure right now.
That's correct.
As far as a fund balance. But we know that we need $3,563,712 is what I'm reading here. Is that correct?
That'd be at our 8% based off the $42 million budget. That's 8.3% of that budget.
The fund balance we have available right this moment is the $6,910,000.
That's the estimated, yes, sir.
But still, let me back up now. We still have to balance it where we were going to use back here somewhere else. I done lost where I was at my proposed budget.
1.4.
But we're using some in this past book. Yeah. Okay. I don't like balancing checkbooks like that myself. I'm just to be honest with you. I don't like doing that, and I get a little bit scary. But
the tough thing with school districts, we're basing off projections. Yeah. It's not like your household. You know how much you make. You know how much you're bringing home. School district, you don't really know how much. It's just projections.
Would it be to our advantage to do a continuing resolution until the state actually approves how much money we're going to get? Because their budget has not been approved either yet, correct?
Has not been approved, but I don't think that would be wise to do that. We would need to pass the budget tonight to move forward.
Repeat that. I couldn't hear you.
In my opinion, we need to pass the budget tonight because we're already late. The budget was supposed to be.
A continuing resolution wouldn't do the same thing and put us. Okay,
sir.
Yeah, probably put us about $5 million more in the hole.
Put us $5 million more. Oh, why would they do that?
45 running all the schools too.
Because we're operating on a $45 million budget now.
We're operating with all the schools still operating. Right. I understand that.
But a continuing resolution would be a continuing resolution on that budget, on $45 million, and we'll be further in the hole.
Right.
And additional violations will be we wouldn't be able to pay our teachers at the rate that the state is requiring us. On the old budget, you can't do that, but with the new budget, you can.
Okay. Thank you for enlightening me. And option 2 is still closing BIS and Clyde, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The one you've got on the floor. Plan D, option 2, still closing those 2 schools.
And Mr. Jiggers, if I could add, with the letter that we recently received from the state, it did say we strongly encourage the district to finalize and approve a budget in the coming days.
That's correct.
And also, speaking with our attorney, we are in compliance by doing so because this is a continuation of the same budget, which is Plan D that we're in. So we're in compliance. And since we're not doing a millage increase, this could be the final. Make this final.
So again, let me finish with my train of thought here. Option 2 is not a millage increase of anything at this time. It is closing BIS and Clyde. So we will change those things around there. And I just want to make this statement. you know, in lieu of this happening again next year, fellow citizens, there will be a millage increase because we can't operate like this again because we're going to run out of fund balance. And I'm just saying, I have no problem with going forward with option D, no millage increase right now. It gives us a year to come up with it, but I just want to forewarn you, there will be a millage increase because the school system cannot operate, you know, in the red. We got to have some money, but that's all.
I'd like to say something. Nikki hit on a lot of points that, you know, we do ask a lot of questions and we are a lot of times in the dark because a lot of questions and plans are, as she said, are submitted and they're not answered, they're not responded to. So, you know, you may want the board to make decisions, but we are people who are trying to make informed decisions, the best decision. And so in order for us to be informed, there are questions that we're going to ask and there's information that we require in order to make those informed decisions. So I encourage you all, you know, versus pointing fingers, but also do your FOIA requests. Do your FOIA requests to ask for information so that you will actually understand some of the things that also goes on behind the scenes. But with option D, I have a concern with the third through fifth graders going to Blenheim as well. This was an amendment that I shared with you all before with our third through fifth graders being split between Wallace and McCall. And that way, if it's going to be zoned that way, or if we're going to leave school choice in place, so as Clio kids, since they are close to McCall, to go that school, but then also Bennettsville school students going to Wallace. I do have a concern with the behaviors at BSOD and also the number of classrooms that are also double as offices and other space for other staff members. I am concerned about adding more students to that school.
School, what you talk about, student population at
Yes.
Blenheim, will Blenheim hold all
Yes.
the kids that are going there if we set all of them? That's a very good question. Very good question.
I want to also add to that. I had actually sent in a request to modify option D to include Clio going to McCall, and it was ignored. I sent in an option to possibly put the Blenheim eighth graders on a separate hallway at the high school, self-contained hallway, to minimize how many students were at Blenheim. That was ignored. So there is a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes that we are not even acknowledged for.
I think if you're going to say things, you should be honest, because both of those concerns that you all are mentioning, I've addressed more than once. Like the third grade, and we're moving kids from these schools to McCall. McCall is already overcrowded.
According to
We've done the numbers.
Okay, according
And
to
we
option,
keep doing the numbers. So it's not fair for you to sit here and throw out incorrect information to the public as you have done quite often. And if you look back in your notes, you'll see that we've given you that information. Any information you want, there's no problem receiving it. But we have a job to do. We have children to educate, and we can't go and follow and continue to go back and back and back and back over the same redundant things. And we've already shared with you why we can or cannot do certain things. It's not our decision, it's the law. And we cannot continue to put more kids in McCall because we already have an overcrowding, because we have kids that are going there that are not zoned to be there anyway.
I want to touch on that. With option C, you said that your administration said, not you necessarily, I don't know who came up with it, said that McCall could hold 1,050 children. Right now they're sitting at 630.
And they can, but that's not ideal. We talked about McCall being able to serve the smaller kids. It was for pre-K 4 through second grade. That's what we had proposed in C, that McCall would serve all of our pre-K, our 4-year-olds, up to second grade for the entire school district. And we proposed that Blenheim would serve all of our 3 through 5th graders. We proposed that Wallace would serve all of our 6 through 8. The high school would serve our 10 through 12. We also said that we'd like to turn Clio into an early childhood development center and BIS, that we would move the entire district office to BIS because we're in 5 buildings that are old that cost a lot of money to try to maintain. Now, that was the full plan with that, but that was not the plan the board wanted. And so the board asked me and the staff to come up with another option, and that's what we've done. I don't mind answering questions. I don't mind answering questions that anybody in this audience have, but I do mind being attacked, and I'm going to say it just like that, attacked about decisions and things that have happened that had nothing to do with me. I came with solutions to the problems that we saw we had. C would have balanced the budget, put money back in the fund balance, and we would have only been $250,000 off the mark. Now, that's the truth.
I didn't even, my comment was the population size. The administration said it could hold 1,050. So what would be the difference in moving Clio to McCall when there's only 200 students there? That was my point I was trying to
make. And
I
understand. And I think probably the problem is we've been trained to make these recommendations and do the things that we're doing as educators. And when I bring you that information, I'm just bringing you what we've been trained, and we know that will work, and we will still be in compliance with those things that we have to be in compliance with state and federal law.
And
because with me, I'm going to be very honest. I'd love to leave it just like it is too. If the board wants to leave it like it is, and the board wants to increase the millage and take money from the fund balance, that's fine with me. This is not a Tiller decision. This is not a situation Tiller created. And it's not a decision, my decision. It's the board's decision. The board can decide we can leave every school the way it is and just figure out how we're going to pay for it. We can leave it like it is, but figure out how much taxes you want to raise and how much you want to take from fund balance, because there's not enough from the fund balance, because you got to remember that what we're trying to make up is a $7 million shortfall.
However, that particular stance, we're too late though.
But not if that's what the board wants to do. I've said that. I've said that repeatedly. I said it's left up to board. If you want to leave things the way they are, you can do that. You asked me to bring you options to leave it the way it is. You can do that, but it's going to cost. And what you asked me to do is look for ways, how can we cut and how can we do the things we need to do without having, first thing I tried to do was not even talk about raising any taxes. That's the reason we came with Plan C.
Yes, ma'am. Then 2 days later, somebody swayed you.
No, nobody swayed me. Yes. No, sir. Yes. That's still the best plan, in my opinion, because you're going to balance your budget. You can put money back in fund balance, and you don't have that big debt ceiling looming over the district. Those are not my decisions. When I came up with the Plan D is because the board told me to go back to the drawing board and bring a different plan.
You had a great plan initially. Somebody swayed you.
Nobody swayed me.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the board members, please don't sit here and leave me hanging out here like this. You all know that y'all asked me to come up with a Plan D, and that's what I did.
Yes, ma'am. You fine. Let's go. We got a motion in a second. So.
Well, I have a question, because this was the first time I heard that McCall is overcrowded, because I know we have 426 third to fifth graders, and it was shared. And then also I was concerned about the report for the behaviors of all of our schools, particularly Blenheim, before we put third to fifth graders. So this was the first I've heard that McCall is overcrowded. So she
stated it's been overcrowded.
McCall is overcrowded?
Yes, ma'am, because one thing we can all agree on, I think everyone up here want to close Clio. It's just where we want to put Clio at. Because at one particular time, I'm sorry, Ms. Sway, you might have been, one particular time we put kids in McCall, put them in Blenheim, put them here. Clio has gone everywhere. I think realistically, and Mrs. Towns, you called, I'm still going to love every one of here that I loved prior to it. Yeah, we're going to argue. But we have all couldn't agree in some particular way besides Ms. Sweat. Let's close Clio. So, I mean, we have a motion on the floor. So, I mean, I don't know if the millage, I don't know what's swaying it because it is becoming frustrated because my kids have gone to every school in the county.
Yeah.
Everyone. Look at the options. Everyone. They don't go to every school. I'm just one person.
See, Mr. McCray, what we tried to do at first
Was bigger than Clio.
No. One, what we tried to do was try to keep schools in every attendance zone, at least one school in every attendance zone. And the reason we looked at Clio for the Early Childhood Development Center is because that building is equipped for that age children. And that was the only reason.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told me to check my notes. I just checked my emails and I never got a response. So just want to make that for the record.
We have a motion.
All right. Call for the question. Somebody else got any more comment? Mr. Tom?
No, I really don't have anything, but since this the only option that it don't require, the public has made it clear that they don't want a tax increase. I mean, they made that loud and clear 2 weeks ago. So I'm ready for the question on this, Mr. Chair.
All right.
So just to clarify, the 3rd through 5th graders, we
Question
cannot.
been called.
Question be called, Mr. President. When you call the question, is it?
Are you ready to call the question?
You know, don't it? Yeah. Okay. All in favor of option D, with no millage increase? D2, let me know by raising your right hand. We got. We got 4. Okay.
Well, you can expect the state to come in and do see. That's what you do get.
All opposed?
Before we move forward, I'd like to hear what Ms. Galloway had to say. And that's the reason I'm not voting. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay,
I know you called for a question.
We'll go back to have Ms. Galloway.
Discussion going on.
Well, he had called for the question, but if you want to go back to Ms. Galloway, go back.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify because I know it was a conversation before about potentially moving 3rd to 5th graders to those different schools. But then I am learning tonight that McCall could not accommodate those students.
What we mean by that is we already have, if our students were going to their zone schools, then we wouldn't have this unbalance with the numbers of students that we are serving. We have a lot of students that are in McCall that don't live in McCall. So then that causes a lower population at other schools. So, and really, that what we're trying to do is we're not trying to add more students to send the student teacher ratio up, trying to keep it at that 1 to 25. So that has been our goal, is to keep it right there at 1 to 25.
I want to make note of what you just said. At least for Bennettsville Primary, that was not the case because if all the children came back to that school, it would absolutely be overcrowded because the teacher ratio is already at 25 to 1. But anyway.
Okay, before we go any farther, I'm sorry, but a couple of things have come up I'm hearing. School choice is one of them on the board here. School choice is coming up on one. Now, it's a possibility, I guess, if you have school choice, you may want to go to a different school. But Plan D, option 2, is the only plan that we're going to get to, I believe, that does not increase the millage. I'm not in favor of Clio closing. I'm not in favor, but there's a couple of things that we've got to consider that we really need to consider here. Do you want to go back and close all the schools or go back the way we were? Or I guess what I'm trying to say is I'd like to have information on how we're going to move some of those overpopulated figures that we were seeing here. I'm not sure where they're at right now, but I'm really concerned about the 406 district staff that we have that comes out to be a whole lot, one person per 8 kids. I don't know that we need one person with 9 kids, and I'm concerned about some of that stuff. So when we move some of that around, that's going to be great. Now, I know what we're saying about Blenheim also, but if I remember correctly, Ms. Battle told me 698 students in Blenheim. It had a capability of that. And I don't know if she's here or not. Is she here? At one time, she spoke up at our meeting and said that's what Blenheim could hold. Now, I'm thinking we're going to have more than 698 at Blenheim if we put all these kids there. So
Well, email came out that it was over 1,400 that it could accommodate.
that was the
capacity
fire
of the
marshal.
school,
That's
right,
the fire marshals.
No,
thing.
that's not the fire marshal. We called the state Office of School Facilities. They told us exactly how to calculate to determine the number of students, and we followed exactly what they said, and it was the 1,400.
So it's a 1,400.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do you have full classrooms
do want-
for, do we have full classrooms for all of the students that are proposed to go to Blenheim? Or are they going to be housed in offices or other areas?
No, we have classroom space there. I just think that
Trust me, I'm
I need to say one thing.
Okay.
The state board has approved their budget. And if we don't approve the budget this evening, our teachers will not receive that raise.
Okay.
I think they did it last week.
We just got that just now. I just received that.
So what if we did a continual resolution? Would they get the raise?
Can't do that.
No.
The state has already passed their budget. You only do that prior to them passing the budget. So it's too late.
I really think that this all boils down to if we could have come up with a different way to balance this budget, and we just really were unheard. And obviously the board doesn't want this, but I mean, we can go ahead and vote.
We already voted.
Vote for those opposed.
We still got one more on the floor.
Yeah, we still having discussion.
To what?
I'll put a motion out there.
Well, he hadn't called for opposed yet.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Dredd, because you were still going to say something.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm thinking. That's my thinking look.
Oh, okay.
Well, go back to the vote. Finish the vote. We didn't finish the vote.
I put it out there.
Okay.
Option 2, D.
All right. All in favor? Let me know by raising your right hand. All opposed? Daddy, you opposed? Nope.
I don't know what I am.
So it's
I would like to amend.
So it's 4-3 and 1. So it passed, right? 4-3 or 4?
No,
Should I vote on it?
It's 4-4, isn't it?
4-4 and 1. It
doesn't pass at 4-4.
Not passed. All right. Motion not passed. 4-4 and 1.
Miss Angela said that she would like to amend, we are still in this meeting. We're still in this actual meeting. We could rescind that vote and let Miss Angela amend it.
What would your motion be?
My motion would be to approve Plan D, Option 2, with third, fifth graders splitting, if allowed, if the capacity for those students to attend Wallace or McCall School based on parent choice, or also if we're going to zone, that would be up to, right now I think we are in student choice with increased, where are my notes? With increased travel so that the kids are not on the bus routes as long as they are. And that would be my amendment to it. Should I read my full amendment?
I don't know. That's something we'd have to go back and take a look at, because that's not something that we've spent a lot of time with, because we've already worked with the transportation, the regional director, as far as the routes are concerned, routes that we run from Blenheim to Clio and back, and from BIS to Clio and back, we already do that because our 6th through 8th graders from Clio, they go to Blenheim anyway, and our kids that would be at BIS 6 through 8, they already go to Clio. So, Mr. McNeil, if you could speak as to what times that you all determined kids would have to be on buses, length and that type thing, I think the board needs to know, because when we say that it's going to be increased time, more this, more that, I think they need to know exactly what you have been working
ma'am.
on with our
As
regional
of
director.
today, if we go back and try to, if we move to go to Wallace, just right off the top of my head, we're going to increase here. We're going to have to reconfigure all of our buses. Like the superintendent said, we're already picking our kids up going to Blenheim from Bennettsfield. We're already picking our kids up from Clio going to Blenheim, and those buses come back to Bennettsfield. So that's already routes and buses that are running already. If we have to go back and include Wallace at this point, if we had an idea that we probably would have went in this direction, we set up every scenario with C, with D, with B. We set up all the scenarios, but we haven't set a scenario with Bennettsfield going to Wallace or Blenheim going to Wallace. When you go from Blenheim to Wallace, you're looking at it's 10 to 15 miles from Blenheim to Bennettsfield. If you're up on the county line in Blenheim to Bennettsfield, it's 15 miles. Then you're looking at another 15 miles to Wallace. That's a 45-minute bus ride right there, just travel time. The State Department of Education looks for a 90-minute ride time on buses. We're on the edge of that 90-minute ride time now for our buses and what we have planned now.
I think that if this is a direction that the board would like to move in, it's not going to be feasible at this point because of what it's going to take to be able to turn all those codes around that we have to do with the state. There's a lot involved that we have to do. So if we're sending part of the kids from Clio to one school and another part to another, and we're doing the same thing, it's going to cause it's going to cause some issues because we're talking about all those beds codes. We're talking about student IDs. Then everything has to go with that student. What we've done after the board approved D, we already worked through that. We already have those schedules set. We already have those routes set. We know what kids are going where, and we've already put that stuff in motion in the system. The only thing we haven't done is pushed the rollover button to push and say, yes, this is where these kids are going to be. But we were talking about now we're adding more schools in the scenario. We're adding Wallace with more grade levels, and we're adding more to Blenheim. It's something that I'm sure we could do. Maybe the board wants to look at that for second semester. I don't think we'd be able to do that now because it's gonna cause a lot of reconfiguring. And so, again, the board could move to leave the school system, leave us where we are, and then we can just do something mid-year. I wouldn't advise that because that'll be more of a disruption. But, and I guess the only other choice, leave it the way it is, and we just have to figure out how to pay for it. Because my staff and I, along the state has heard what we've done. They have all the documentation. They've been through it, just like we have. And so, it's not as simple as you think. That you may think it is. Oh, we just put them over here. It's not simple like that. It's a lot of things that we have to control for. It's testing. it's attendance, it's the number of students that we plan to have in these different areas. It's a lot to it, but whatever the pleasure of the board is, that's what we'll do. We're just here to please the public and please the board. You asked for us to come to you with options to try to make up the shortfall. That's what we've done. And if you don't like any of the options, I don't know what else to offer at this point.
Thank you.
I want to say that to everyone, I personally don't consider this a win. I think it's a sad day for Marlboro County right now.
That I agree with you on. It is for more reason than one.
Mm-hmm.
And one, I believe it's sad because those people that's sitting out there, that's looking at us, those people that's online looking at us, they had confidence in us when they elected us, and they put us here, and we are kicking a can down the road because we don't want to make a decision. It's sad. People clap their hands the other week when we didn't raise millage. No one win. This is not a win-lose situation. Everybody got to give something in order for us to grow. We're trying to move forward. It's a no-win for anyone. The children not going to win out of this. And in order to stay just like we are, the public here, they're looking, it would take 87 meals to stay at $45 million budget where we're at now. It would take 87 meals, and we don't have it. You know, the kids used to play a game long time ago. I remember they were saying trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. You know, we don't have the money. And we have to make these hard choices before someone come in and make them for us. And it is a sad day. It's a sad day when you have elected officials who've been charged with a duty to balance a budget, to pass a budget. When we sit here as a board and have 3,000 questions about things that some of us already know. Some of us already know we can't do some of the things that we are suggesting. Some of you know that we are not qualified to even make them. Dr. McLeod, he was a retired educator. We had Dr. Tiller at the table. They have doctorates. And I know they took planning when they got their doctorate. I know they were shown how to plan a school facility. I know these principals out here, ground level principals out here, know how many teachers and things they need in their building. I know they know these things. They know them better than we do. That's why they have a staff that we call on to give us some expertise. But we are sitting here, and I don't know whether we are playing games for a political group, a certain segment of the population that don't want to participate in the process of public education. But we need to do better. This is not a good day. This is not a good look for none of us sitting here. It's not a good look. We was elected. Our constituents are looking at us. We want to throw the finger and blame the superintendent. Well, we've been sitting here. I came on this board in January 2023. Dr. Tiller didn't get hired till July the 23rd, 2023. We had already passed the budget. We had already dipped into the fund balance that year, and we dipped in it this year. And boy, remember, we passed that. We did that. And then we acting like money gone. We was, whatever was coming before us, we voted. We may not understood everything, but that was our job. The public put us here to find out the things that we don't know. If we voted on something that we didn't understand, that's on us. Really, that's on us. So the public, this is not a good look. It's a sad day. It's a sad day when the public see that we've been voting on things that some of us had no idea what we was voting on. That's a sad day. And they are rightfully so to be upset when we sit here and come up with different scenarios on how we can run a district better than the professionals that we hired to run it. I don't know. I've been on the board before. I've chaired before. But I still have not planned a school facility. I don't have credentials to plan a school facility. I look at the information, I review the information, and I look at our policies. And I believe as the board, we should govern through our policies. If something is happening in the district that we don't like, I believe we ought to review policies and change it. so that we have more control over that. We do it through policy, and we hand the policy manual to the superintendent, who operate within the policy. Her job is to operate the district, not ours. I don't know how many children need to be in the classroom. I don't know what subjects they need. We have professionals that do that. And for us to sit here and not pass a budget, and we know what's looming ahead, that's a sad day for us. It's a sad day for the citizens out there that place that trust in us. And if they so desire to remove us, or the state come in before them and move us, we have no one to blame but ourselves, because we did this. We did this. We decided that we wasn't going to act. And I don't know who we're proving a point to or what is going to happen. But we caused this problem on ourselves. So it is a sad day.
So what'll be next, Mr. Coachman?
I agree with what Mr. Thomas is saying, but that's part of my problem tonight. I've heard Mr. Benjamin, and Mr. Benjamin's given me his honest opinion. He cannot assure me that 1.4 million fund balance is going to be there in January. So what do we do in January if it comes up short? We go back then and we pass millage then to get more money? How do we get the money then? See, that's the kind of questions that are being presented to me. Where did the money go? How do you come up with the money? And I can't answer those questions.
Mr. Jiggers, I could just intervene just for a second there. When we was discussing that, I think I made mention to that about a mid-year review. After the audit come back and we know what's in the budget. That's what we were discussing when I said doing a mid-year review. That's after the audit come back and we know exactly how much in the fund balance, whether we meet our goal, then that's the time the board will meet again and decide, no, we can't do a meal increase.
How do we approve this budget tonight, though, if we don't know what it's going to be?
But what I'm saying is, you know what you have now. You know you got 1.4 million in there that you could take. But what we're looking at is whether or not we're going to be above that 3.5 that we're going to need.
That's correct.
That's what we're waiting on. And if we're not above that 3.5 in mid-year when the audit come out, probably in November, when the audit is complete, then we can start making changes for the second semester. We can begin to cut things to come up with that 1.4 or whatever amount we short.
Why can't we cut now?
You can't cut now because you don't know now. See, the other week when we was talking, when contracts went out, when staff contracts went out to our certified employees, they signed them and turned them in. The administrator signed theirs, turned them in. See, those people already have their jobs, and we still got to pay them. See, a lot of time we talking about cutting. You can't cut anything you already have a contract for, because you still got to pay the people that won't be in the savings. And if you do that, then you get a lawsuit and you're going to lose more. But what I mean is, in mid-year, if we are short, we freeze stuff. No more supplies on that. We can stop buying it. Only perform emergency maintenance. It's ways that we can come up to freeze things and stop things till we get where we need to be with the money. That's what I was meaning by that. Because I think as we get our finance reports as a board, I think it's prudent of us do our due diligence every month when we get that, to actually look at it and actually ask those hard questions that we want to know the answer for now. We need to ask those hard questions as we look at those figures. You know, when Mr. Benjamin come and give us that report, I think maybe we might need to question a little more if things that we don't understand, and ask where we stand on stuff. That way we can keep a close look at our budget. And that's not just for this year. That's for all the years to come. Whether I'm on the board or somebody else is here, I think those would be good things for the board to do in the future, to keep their eyes on it. Because I think you said something important when you said that, what about next year? Yeah. See, what about next year? When we all know our tax base is shrinking in Marlboro County, we know that. We know that our student body is shrinking in Marlboro County. Unless we get a jobs and a whole lot of people just move to Marlboro County, that's what we have to be bracing ourselves for. So we still looking in the rearview mirror at what it used to be. That's gone. Let's look at the windshield. It's broad, it's wide, bigger view. That's what we need to looking at the future, because we're going to have to cut some more. Staff at the top, staff at the bottom. We're going to have to bring things in, because when you start getting schools like we have now, 170 children, 200 over here, 300 over there, and like you said, 2 or 3 administrators and different things like that, that's too much. we're gonna have to shrink that and bring all that in. Those 400 and some employees or 500 employees, we have to bring that down. And those are things that we're gonna have to look at on a monthly basis as a board to start bringing things in and providing the oversight that Ms. Galloway was talking about. We have to do that on a monthly basis when we meet. See, when we meet, we can't be about, okay, let's get out of here. A ball game come on tonight. We can't be about that. We got to be about the business of the people that put us here and keep our eye on the prize. That's what we have to do. And I think if we do that, I think we'll be able to catch something if we do our due diligence. I think we'll be able to catch, and we can question it and look for better answers. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion now.
And Ms. Thomas, you said a lot of great things, and you're absolutely right about us not being the experts, and that's why questions are asked. That's why we ask questions and share concerns about different things that are presented to us. And my concern is behavior issues at Blenheim, and then putting another group of kids, and Dr. Tiller did share that they would have a different entrance, they'd have a different hallway. And so I do think we do need to pass something before we leave tonight. Dr. Tiller, did you say that you got a message that if a budget isn't passed tonight, that the teachers will not get the 48.5?
They will not receive the raise that was included for teachers. And I think that was it 14 or 1,500?
1,500.
15.
An additional $1,500.
Right.
Because we'll have to operate with the current budget, and that creates a lot of issues with finance. We can't do budget adjustments if we need to do certain expenditures in certain areas because we can't do adjustments because we're still in the old budget. Passing a new budget allow us to flexibility to operate efficiently. So I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I really don't know what we're gonna have to do. And I'm being honest as the finance director of Marlboro County School District. I take my job to heart. Every week we do accounts payable and payroll. If there's no funds at the county treasurer, I cannot make payroll. And there's a possibility that this could happen. So if it gets to the 15th or the 30th and we can't make the payroll, that's very horrible because it would affect me as well as all of the staff in the district. So I'm just letting you know, it is what it is.
Here's just one other thing I would like to say about the projection. I understand he says it's projected that we'll get 6.9. And that's what's going to be there. He don't know it. It's not in writing. I understand that. But that, I still feel comfortable with getting 1.4 out of that. Right. Now, if he said we've got 3 million projected, I would have some concern.
That's right.
But with 6.9, I feel comfortable. He's the numbers guy, and if he thinks that's what we're going to get, then I'm okay with that. I understand he can't write it on paper and say, Mr. Flowers, this is what we're going to get. But his projection based on all his assessments, that's what he projects we would get. And I don't have a problem taking 1.4 from that because I just feel like we really need to pass a budget tonight if all possible. If not, we're going to cause some major issues, especially for finance and maybe even employees.
But keep in mind, every year when you pass the budget, you're always operating off projections. You never know the actual numbers. You're always based off projections.
I have a question. Have you been given any directives by Ms. Weaver for after this meeting? Has she asked you to call her or anything?
What, Miss? I read to you, I gave you what we have. It said that the board was encouraged to pass a budget in the next few days.
Did she ask you to call her after this meeting?
I'm not.
Okay.
What I read, what she said in her letter, she said, we must pass a budget. The word must is enough for me. Basically, if we don't pass it, I mean, Ms. Flowers, I know you asked the question, what's next for us here?
Right. I mean, well, not as much me, because I'm not an employee of the school district per se, like teachers and all the staff is. Yeah. I'm concerned about them and their payroll for the next year.
Well, once again, when we didn't pass the budget last time, we took the board out of the equation. we don't pass it tonight, we're out of the goods. So the only person that the state would be talking to is the superintendent.
Right.
So we won't be no more need for no more emails or anything, because the state would make decisions for us, and we won't have it say so.
I still think Plan D2 is a good plan for us to pass and move on tonight and restructure and go from there. And it's changed for everybody, I understand that. But I've got one vote, so.
And option 2 is no millage increase.
Yes, sir.
If someone from the prevailing side would do a motion to reconsider, we can vote again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a legal reason? Or is legal going to be in there with us?
What's that?
Legal, they were mentioning going into executive session. Is there a legal reason to
Well,
go?
no, I wasn't talking.
Not you.
No, oh, no, just now, I was just asking for, since we've had this lengthy conversation, I said someone from the prevailing side could ask for a motion to reconsider if you all want to
Revote.
revote. I can't do it. Somebody from the prevailing side.
We understand this, Tom.
I still have the concern about the behavior issues. I still have the concern about 3rd through 5th grade. And it's going to be a concern. At this point, I do know that we do have to pass this budget. And I'm not comfortable with the 3rd through 5th graders. And the other thing about that is I know that there's going to be one principal and then 2 assistant principals. And again, I'm not the expert, but I do partner and work in school systems. And so if we can afford to have another principal over the 3rd through 5th grade at Blenheim, and this right now is just discussion at this point. You all are really getting the discussions of us plotting, discussing what plans are and striking and having discussion. So that would be one thing that I would hope to consider for if we were to have 3rd to 5th graders at Blenheim, that there's a whole nother wing as well as a different administrator for that. But I'll let Dr. Tiller.
We have slated 4 administrators for Blenheim.
So the 3rd through 5th wouldn't have their own main principal. They would be split.
We would have one principal and 3 assistants. And the assistants that we have worked with those group of students that would be coming to the school. They've already been working with those students.
They will have
So the administrators that would be there with our kids are administrators that our students are already familiar with, and also our teachers, because the teachers would go with the students.
Are there any other comments from anyone else?
I think that any sort of plan, if it had included maybe a 15% reduction in staff, maybe say by September, may have passed something.
I disagree with that, because we came up with a plan that wouldn't cost taxpayers a dime, and the budget would have been balanced, Plan C. And we turned that plan down. So I don't think any plan, but we've come up with to where things are now, would pass by this board. I mean, we've shown that we're not going to pass anything.
The reason I say that is because it would show some sort of accountability.
Well, we are not showing any type of accountability.
You're right. My option that I sent in said to remove all of our salaries. That's when you responded back to me, stop sending options.
Because it's not your job. It's not your job. And it's still not your job. So, superintendent, that's what we pay her for. That's why we're in the position that we're in now. Everybody trying to do the superintendent's job. But anyway, let's move forward. No reconsidering?
Yeah, because we can't have people not being able to get paid, and if people are due something, then,
So
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
well, Ms. Galloway fit to make a motion to reconsider.
oh, he made a motion.
Unless you want to, but I make a motion, we go into executive session.
Okay. What's the purpose, Mr. McCray?
To discuss board policies.
Motion to go into executive session and discuss board policy.
Policy here. Policy up here.
Have a second?
I didn't hear what he said. What did he say?
Motion to go into executive session to discuss board policy.
Oh, okay.
Have a second?
Change it to personnel.
Ms. Galloway, we'll move forward. What you got?
We just have to
Sir.
You want to move forward with your motion?
the amended. Let's just
The
argue.
amended with the 3rd to 5th graders?
Yes. That's what you said. I mean, it's up to you.
Well, I mean, I was told tonight that the McCall is overcrowded, so that wouldn't work possibly. But and then the redoing of the bus routes, and and these were questions that was asked a couple of months ago, and so.
Well, Ms. Galloway, would you consider? I think you were saying with designating for them to go to a specific school. And we're not sure whether all of them want to go that route. Some of them could want to do what the district is asking them to do, but if you leave it choice, that way if a parent in Clay try to go to McCall and they still could hold them, they could go to McCall. If a parent in Bennett wanted to go to Wallace and Wallace still could hold them, they could go. And the reason why I'm saying that, because that would be kind of like a happy medium is what you're saying.
Right.
And that would still give parents an option. And then also we could work with whether or not the capacity of the schools can hold, because once the school reach their capacity, then the principal say, okay, we full now.
Yeah. The only other concern is Blenheim is a school that requires a uniform. And so will that be something that, well, I know that's something we need to discuss as well. Is that going to be a requirement?
That's something the board could vote on.
Well, that's something we could do, because like currently the way it is, just a middle school, we had uniform, right? But if we're going to change it, it's going to be 3 through 8, then we couldn't just impose uniforms like that, because the last time we sent it home to the parents and everybody else before they did.
Let them vote.
But however, and that's good that you explained it to her. I don't even think that's why I was gonna recommend executive session. The individuals are why they're opposing it. Like, I don't even think you guys understand why they're against it. Because I agree whatever we do should be unanimous. But if we kind of came somewhat in the middle, and we so to the point now, we not listening to each other at all, man. So if we kind of can come somewhere in the middle, everybody's not going to say what they're going to voice. If their emails is not even being replied or responded to, they're not going to come here and state the same thing under good pretense. So let's be honest. If you find out and know why Mr. Sweat that doesn't say anything is opposing it, hear individuals out though. Like we're not even hearing it out. Being honest, I think we keep forcing C and D, thinking somebody gonna get weak on the other side, and it's sad though. Nobody's going to get weak on the other side. Listen out. That's how. There's no secret. Certain individuals are getting their options pushed. Give a sentence in the option and you might get something with it. Give a sentence in it. I agree. She said that months ago. Now we telling her we don't know about Wallace. I don't know. The thing about it is we've been saying accountability months ago. And what I really want to say, Mr. Thomas, we just started to know what the real balance is. Everyone said, look at what the real budget is. We only can trust it when Mr. Benjamin came. We couldn't trust that paper, and you know it. So let's be honest. If we want to put it out on the front street, we can, but let's be honest to kind of have some cohesiveness of what we know. We just starting to trust this documentation and paperwork. But understand why your board members and colleagues are actually opposing it instead of just sitting here saying, look, we're going to throw a few sentences in and they're going to get weak and they're going to get frustrated and go yell with it. It ain't nobody going to be looked upon as you did better if the state came in. We all going to get the same treatment. I don't know if you can't go to ball game, churches, or no store or convenience store nowhere without individuals stopping. And they just want to know. They just want transparency, accountability. That's simple math. But I mean, to be honest with you,
I do want to say that the teachers will still get paid. They just won't get paid the increase.
Which is unfair to them.
It is unfair.
Then when the budget's passed, you got to go back and probably repay it.
Yeah. Which the state pays for the difference anyway.
I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to motion that we put Plan D, option 2 on the table.
to amend it, amend it.
With the amendment that you asked for?
You're going to amend option.
If you're going to do it probably, I think you have to say a motion to reconsider since you were on that.
Well,
page.
if the schools, I mean, it's at this point, I do understand what Mr. Thompson is saying, that it's giving parents the option to choose. And this is going to be where trust is allotted to the professionals, because that's what we do. So I will move that Plan D, option 2, move forward. Did I rescind it? I need to rescind. Oh, but it was never second.
Guess what?
Oh, y'all did second it? Oh, I never heard it.
Rescind your motion.
Okay, I'll rescind my amended motion, and I will move that we do Plan D, option 2.
With no amendments.
Amendments.
Yeah, I will second.
Okay. What are we doing? Because I'm not hearing everything.
What she said she
rescind her vote and put option D2 back on the table.
Option D2 back on the table with no millage increase. And what she was saying in her option, instead of saying those kids go to McCall or go there, the parents still have an option in the
to move
school choice.
School choice. Okay.
And when the school gets filled, the principal will let them know they can no longer do that.
All right.
And, you know, the public has been pretty, okay. The public has been pretty vivid and with their thoughts. And could I make an amendment to that and say, as soon as, if we do approve this, the next step would be a forensic audit. So the public would say, okay, they've spent the money correctly or they've spent it incorrectly. And I've heard a lot of talk about it, but I would like to say that we would do this. If we do this Plan D, option 2, and we pass it, and with the understanding that one of our next steps will be a forensic audit that we'll pay for so we can clear up any misconceptions that the public has on our spendings.
And I would like for that forensic audit, since we're going to do one, because we called for one since 2019 and we didn't have a proper one. I would like to go all the way back to 2019 when we had $29 million in COVID funding.
I just wanted it cleared up for the public. Say, you know, they either did it right or they did it wrong. But let's clear it up and move forward.
All the way through. Absolutely.
Well, I'll second your
amendment.
I want to be clear. So can you say the whole motion for me, Miss Angela?
We got to deal with this one first.
Okay. Lord,
we got to deal with the amendment first.
Okay.
So we have amendment to the motion to put Plan D with the millage increase. And also, without the millage increase and with a forensic audit going from 2019 to
along with continuing with school choice.
Along with school choice. There you go. And all right, that'll work. Have a second motion and a second.
Well, you already got second.
Also, I want to ask if we can publicize how many children currently go out of their district.
We're going to trust them. We're going to trust them.
All in favor? Raise your right hand.
To the amendment, right?
Yep. All right. All right. All opposed? All opposed? 1. Okay.
Don't like
Three.
Okay.
All right. Motion passes.
The main motion.
Now the main motion.
Somebody got to make a motion.
What, it already on the floor?
It's already on the floor. Back to the main motion. All in favor of Plan B with the forensic audit?
Your motion is what we're voting on now.
All in favor, let it be known by the
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. Well, y'all are so confused.
You voted for the amendment.
Had to vote for the amendment first.
Audit to it.
They're fast tracking the vote for the amendment that you just rescinded.
Now we got to vote for your motion.
Now the motion.
You would like to restate it? That's fine.
We're clear on.
We clear on what it says, Ms. Galloway. If you don't want to restate it, we clear on what it
Let me
says.
go back to this motion, this option.
You don't know what you did.
I move that we approve Plan D option 2 with school choice. This was said.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
With school choice, including a forensic audit.
We already did that.
You did that one.
You did that, okay.
You already voted for that.
Okay, all right.
All in favor of Plan D with
Is
making
there a
it.
second?
I second.
You second, okay.
They already seconded. It's already good. Let it be known by raising your right hand.
Okay.
Motion passed. We now
All opposed.
all opposed. Got 2 opposed. 3 opposed.
You got a bunch.
Y'all, all right. We got 3 opposed. 6-3. We now have a balanced budget. All right. Thank you, Jesus. All right. At this point in time, we just like to thank everybody. Thank the board for finally us working together on this budget to compromise to come to an end so that we can move forward with our district. I know we're all not happy, but did the best we could do, and I thank you all.
Mr. Coachman,
Let's turn this turn.
before we close, let us just close with a prayer and a moment of silence because, we had a terrible loss of children crossing Texas and other places with the flood. And I think we're in the business of children, and I think it would be appropriate that we say a prayer in a moment of silence just for
I agree.
the flood victims in Texas.
Okay. It's time.
Father God, we come to you and say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to gather here on this night to conduct the business of the Marlboro County School Board. Lord, we realize there were tensions and well-intended measures by all involved. But Lord, we're just glad that we came together after lengthy conversations and came up with a budget that we can begin to move our district forward. And we pray now that the healing process take place. We pray that whatever was said and whatever done, oh God, that it be taken and turned around, that no one would take it to heart. Let it all, what we have said, be business, not personal against anyone. If there's any hard feeling, oh God, we pray that you touch each and every one of us to rid us of those feelings and guide us as we continue to go down this path and lead and direct our footsteps. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right.
I want to, I was waiting until a decision was made, and in light of the decision, I want to publicly ask that uniforms for Blenheim be added to Monday's agenda.
Okay.
And then I want to also ask publicly that we add the school calendar for the agenda for Monday. I think it would be in our best interest to go back to a traditional calendar for this coming school year only. And then we can go back to a modified just to give us more time to prepare. So if we can add that to the agenda Monday.
Well, I think it was already
We can add that to the agenda. However, I do want the board to understand that we already have things planned already. Professional development for teachers that happens during the week of the 21st. We have breakfast for new employees tomorrow. We have convocation that we've already scheduled for the 23rd. Mr. Flowers, you came to us with a suggestion of a speaker, and were able to get that speaker to come for our staff and teachers. And if we change that now, we're going to have to change a lot of things And the problem's going to be those dates are locked in already because we were going by the calendar that was already approved. So, and I know that we're probably not going to be able to get a refund for that because those people have held those dates. But whatever the pleasure of the board is, that's what we'll do. But I do want you to understand that there are, and I can go through the calendar with the board if you'd like.
Well,
everything that's already.
I don't know that it should be appropriate at this meeting because it wasn't on the agenda and we don't want to violate FOIA. That's why I was asking for it to be on Monday's agenda.
And that'll be fine. I just think that I don't think we should send a mixed message to our teachers and staff as to when our opening is going to be because they're already working that our opening is going to be on the 21st for our teachers. The convocation and the speaker will be here on the 23rd. We have professional development that has already been scheduled for the 24th and 25th. So I just want the board to understand that those things are already in motion. However, if it's the pleasure of the board to change the calendar, please understand that anything that we've locked on now, we will lose those funds. I'm sure we won't be able to recoup it because we've already brought those people on board to provide what they should be providing. So it's left up to the board. But it's our job to make sure that we schedule all the things that's supposed to happen at the beginning of school, and that's what we've done. So just let me know.
One thing that I want to emphasize, like her, the people in Blenheim, 3rd through 5th grade, they are concerned about uniforms and what, and that a statement needs to be made to them.
And we've already worked on that. We can put it on the agenda as well.
It doesn't have to be on the agenda, just get it out to the public.
And we already have worked on that. We didn't want to send anything out to the public prior to the board making a decision. And the plan is that 3 through 5th grade, that should be, we've got to hear from parents and we'll let parents decide if we move for uniforms for that level, 3 through 5th. The 6th through 8th grade, they've already been wearing them anyway.
They're in there.
But yes.
3 through 5, it may be inconvenient for.
Right, and we don't want to do that.
So I'd like very much for us to address that.
Yes, sir, we will.
That's right. All right, with that being said.
Anything else?
I move that we adjourn.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
second it then.
We're second. Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, let me know. Raise your right hand. Meeting is adjourned.